In our You Decide coverage, we are hearing from Tulsa mayoral candidate Brent VanNorman after he requested a recount of last week's election votes.
The Tulsa County Election Board says the race was one of the closest in city history. Take a look. With fewer than 300 votes separating frontrunner Monroe Nichols and second place finisher Karen Keith, and fewer than 500 votes separating Keith and VanNorman. Nichols and Keith are set right now to head to a November runoff.
Fox 23's Devin Lyon is live at the Tulsa County Election Board after sitting down with VanNorman today about why he feels that recount by the board is necessary.
That's right, guys. After those results you just read were finalized at the Tulsa County Election Board, Brent VanNorman originally said he would not petition for a recount. However, before last Friday's deadline, he went ahead and filed that request, saying it's what his supporters wanted.
At one point, we were going to catch her and overtake her and move into second place.
The August 27th election for mayor of Tulsa was one for the history books, with 3 of the 7 candidates all getting over 30% of votes. Candidate Brent VanNorman narrowly missed his chance at a runoff by coming in third by fewer than 500 votes out of more than 55,000 total ballots counted.
Kept seeing increments and increments and increments until, we went above 30, and the enthusiasm was very high in our watch party. And, we came within, at one point, I think it was as close as 200 votes of Karen Keith.
VanNorman told me it was his supporters and campaign that pushed to request a recount.
Most recounts are not successful, but I had enough people come behind me. I was getting requests for that all day on Wednesday and then into Thursday, and that they were reporting issues that had happened. And so they, ultimately said, hey, we'll even fund it.
VanNorman says within hours his campaign had raised enough to cover the $12,000 deposit to request the filing. He says it has little to do with the trust in the election process for Tulsa and more about building confidence in those results and for the November election.
I don't know about the integrity of the election, but there's always the possibility of human error. And I think, the supporters that I have really wanted this to happen. I think this will resolve issues they might have, and so it gives them a level of confidence that they don't feel like the election results were inaccurate. And we just want to prove the accuracy of them, and I think everyone should want that.
If the recount is consistent with last week's results, I asked him if he would endorse either candidate moving forward. Voice your support for either of them, or would you just abstain from that?
Yeah, I'm not going to endorse either one of them.
So how does a recount work, especially one that the county election board says would be one of the largest in state history? We're working on figuring out how a recount will affect the mayor's election, how long it's expected to take, and how much it will cost you, the taxpayer. We're working on that part of my story for Fox 23 News at 6. Live in Tulsa, covering news that matters. Devin Lyon, Fox 23 News.
The runoff election between Karen Keith and Monroe Nichols is on November 5th. That's the same day as the presidential election.